Hey my friend, today we're going to have a little look at the cocoon or the hermit phase of the awakening, a little bit more depth, and why, for me, it is the biggest blessing in disguise. Usually we find ourselves, before we go into the cocoon phase or the hermit phase as it's popularly known on YouTube, we perhaps are quite needy people and quite lonely, and perhaps we don't give enough attention to ourselves, so we seek that attention externally from other people. And this is kind of why the cocoon stage is happening and why it is your biggest blessing in disguise. You're very lucky. So, at least from my experience, this is how I've taken it to be, and you are lucky. And I'm going to, perhaps, if you'll let me, prove that to you today. So let's dive into neediness really quickly. From my perspective, the way I see neediness is we're not getting our needs met by ourselves. So we try and externally perhaps control, or we try and look to get our needs met externally from other people, from family. And it can come off a little bit strange to other people who are meeting their own needs within, or perhaps do get their needs met from other people. It usually comes from childhood. I only know this from my parents, and not getting any attention from your parents. Although, of course, we're the ones that need to be giving attention to ourselves. This is why the whole spiritual awakening is happening. This is why we kind of disconnect away from the world as we enter this cocoon or the hermit phase, because what we're searching for is not external. The love we're searching for in ourselves is not external. The love we're searching for is the love that we've not been given ourselves. We're not giving ourselves. Now, alright, we can say that our conditioning is the way that we're made, and it's our parents that made us be this way. But if your parents perhaps withhold love from you or withhold emotional support, bear in mind, they're only working from their conditioning. It's nothing personal. And we need to kind of take responsibility, and I only say this from my own life. The cocoon phase is happening so that we take responsibility for the love and the attention that we give ourselves. We have to, and this is why your friends are gone. And this is why you're not in a relationship. So that it's life's little way of saying, look, you need now. Really need. You don't need to. You can do whatever you want. It's up to you. But if you want the cocoon stage to end, you need to start loving yourself. And you need to find ways to do that. Oh, but Jamie, I don't love myself. Or how do I do that? Well, we start with breathing practices. It's not like you have to love the personality, the mental ego that I am, because we don't need to love that. It's usually very negative. There's no need in doing that. But we have to love ourself. And our self being, this being within. We have to learn to love the feeling of it. And when we learn to love the feeling of it, we can be alone for days and it doesn't matter. Neediness is in the mind, right? It's like, oh, give me love that I'm not giving myself, give me love that I'm not giving myself. And we constantly project that in the external world. And that's why we lose friends, because it's like the claws are in, neediness. And it's a bit like that. It's kind of ugly, isn't it? And people are like, they can smell it. They can sense it. It's law of attraction in action. They can sense what you're giving off, your perfume. And again, I'm getting really vulnerable here because I only know this through my own life. I'm not just saying things that I don't understand. I know this because this was me. We have to heal this wound through childhood, perhaps not being loved or perhaps not given the emotional support. I'd say love really for me means giving somebody the space to be exactly who they are and feel any way that they feel in every moment and totally validate that. That's love. That's really love. To let somebody know, because they probably think they're weird as hell, to let somebody know that actually they're not, and that however they're feeling is okay to feel that way right now. That's love. And if we don't get that, we don't get our needs met, right? And then we search for that in the external world. But we can't find it in the external world because we find that people aren't really willing to give love, mainly because of the way they've been conditioned. But also, We shouldn't be looking in the external world for our self-love. Our self-love comes from self, so begin to love yourself. Now that's difficult if we think our self is the I in the mind. You're never going to learn to love the I in the mind because it's not who you are, and also the I in the mind keeps telling you really negative things. How can you love something that keeps telling you you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're never going to find love? You can't love that, it's not possible. But this is why the cocoon or the hermit phase of awakening is here. So that you sit down on your meditation seat, you do your breathing practices, you do your affirmations, you really begin to love the feeling of your inner body, who is more your real self than your mind. You really begin to feel blissful inside in every moment. That's there for everybody anyway, in any moment possible. Like, you can turn inside and feel the bliss inside in any moment, but we don't. Because we're too caught up in this identity that isn't even who we are, but we're convinced that it is right now. And that's fine, there's no judgment. But we need to almost, in order to love ourselves, it's not like we keep saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. You can do that. But we cultivate the feeling of bliss within, inside ourselves. And then when we're doing that, if we're feeling blissful, there's no thoughts, there's no negative thoughts, because we're just feeling the bliss. And then we love ourselves. That is us literally loving self. Self meaning being, awareness, inner body feeling. Not self, personality, because our personalities are trash. Well, for most of us, if you're anything like me. The cocoon phase, or the hermit phase of awakening, is there so that you go deeper into your practice and learn to love self. No, I don't want to say yourself, but learn to love self. Learn to feel, rather than think our way through life. We can think our way through life, but we know that it's very painful, creates frustration, negativity, anger, jealousy, sadness. And that's fine if that's the path that you want to go. But I want to see a really positive world with really joyous, happy people in it, because they know their place and they feel their being and they feel their sense of self-worth, and they meet their needs within themselves because they love the divinity within themselves and their God-given right that they're here. I want to see a world with more really confident people like that, because we all need to know who we really are. We don't need to. We are it anyway. Don't need to know these things for it to be true. It is true. But I'd love to see a world with less negativity in it. And I hope that you'll be a part of creating that within yourself, you know? We can't change the world, can we? But we can change ourselves. And for me, it's becoming really clear, really clear for me that I need to take responsibility for my life. Not for the self-love stuff much, because I'm pretty good at that now. I don't mind being alone with myself because I feel amazing. I don't need others to be around me. In fact, I often turn people down now. You'll get like that. You'll want to protect and preserve this beautiful, blissful feeling energy within so much that you won't want to perhaps go to the bowling alley with your friends. You'll start turning things down. Because your sense of self-worth comes from within, not by being social. Although social things will bring you joy, you don't have to have those things. It's those cat claws against that neediness. You don't have to be socially approved of, because your social proof comes from within. You're socially approved just by the fact that you're being here. Just by the fact that you're here. I don't mean here in this physical location. I just mean you're alive. You're worthy. You're divine. You've been given this opportunity. Somebody thinks you're worth it. So you might as well show yourself that love too. And then in that sense, we'll sort of come out of the hermit. As a hermit crab does, we'll come out of the... What do you call it? What do they have on their back? Shell. You'll come out of your shell. Ah, you'll come out of your shell. That's quite a nice way of putting it. You really will come out of your shell. You'll start talking to people because there won't be any need to get anything back. It'll just be, you just speak whatever, it doesn't matter. You'll just be confident enough to chat away, and When that happens, you'll know that the hermit phase is done, because you're really beginning to come out of your shell, or you're really beginning to fly like the butterfly that we are after we've been in that cocoon phase of awakening. The cocoon phase is going to help you love yourself, but you have to start loving yourself. The cocoon phase can't do that for you, and you can make it go very dark for yourself, or you can begin being really practical, start feeling the inner blissful feeling within, and there's a breathing practice that's totally free down below for you to do that. It's a start, right? And if you want, you can take on the Dark Night of the Soul practices down below. Again, they're not free, but they work. And that will cultivate this feeling of bliss. And then you'll love yourself. And then you'll come out of your shell. And on to the next stage of the awakening process for you. I hope this helps. Peace.